Hello YouTube, this is Denoxkun speaking once again, and we have a little special guest before we start this tech review.
Hey!
Mr. Crackers is here.
What's up?
Denox's new pet.
Hello, my name is Mr. Denoxkun. Let's get it on!
And today, I'm gonna be reviewing a new handheld that you probably all recognize already, and it's called the Game Boy Advance SP. So yeah, basically, this handheld came out in 2003 and was made by Nintendo, of course, as you see the seal. And it was pretty much the very first Nintendo handheld that kind of looked like a laptop that had like a clamshell design. You open like this and you close it. Now, before I show everything that's inside, you already know this, but I'm gonna point some things out with this device. Okay, first of all, you see that this thing has its own L and R button, which is even smaller than the original Game Boy Advance. So this right here is for the charger, and yes, this is also the very first Game Boy that comes with a rechargeable battery. The battery is inside right here, so there is no more need to get AA batteries like the original Game Boy Advance in order to charge the, in order to play your games for a little while, because you don't need to buy AA batteries every time. In my case, I use rechargeable batteries, so it's still the same thing to me. Right here is the link cable thingy, where you play 2 players or 4 players on the Game Boy Advance. Still no wireless on this thing like the Nintendo DS. Yeah, we're still a little bit back from that. Okay, the only way you could play wireless on this thing before the Nintendo DS came out, if you had a wireless adapter that came with the game Pokemon Fire Red. Yes, this is one of the very few games that supports this. Probably also Mario Pinball and a few others. I don't remember the other games. But you snap it in like this. You pull these 2 levers out. You put it in and it snaps in. And yes, you could actually chat and everything when you use this game, Pokemon Fire Red. Of course, this thing came with the Fire Red game that I got from a friend of mine many years ago. But yes, the wireless was just starting to come in at that time, but it was a pretty neat device, but I never really got to use this thing fully because the Nintendo DS was already out and the wireless is already popular there. There is no more need for link cables. Link cables are obsolete already pretty much, but it was still brings back good times. But yeah, and this right here is the volume control. Of course, you know what it does, no need to explain it. Louder or lower stereo music. And this is where you turn on the little device, the Game Boy Advance SP. Now, out of all the things I have mentioned right here, what do you think is missing right now? Okay, as you see here, the screen is a 480 x 160 pixelated screen. Yeah, that's the resolution of the Game Boy Advance SP itself. And here you see a control pad like any other traditional Game Boy or Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance Original, whatever. You have the control pad, the select and start button, the B and the A, pretty simple. And this little button right here, if you turn it on, for example, you could turn the light off with this button. But you most likely not want to do that because most of the times I always gonna leave it on. Because most of the times I will be in a dark area while playing this game. Yeah, you see I already have Pokemon Fire Red right now. How about if I put on my headphones in so I can listen to it better? Give me a sec. Putting... Okay, where do you put the headphone? Okay. Okay, where? What? Where? This is bullcrap. There's no headphone jack? Okay. Yes. You heard it. One of the biggest problems with this thing, which doesn't make any sense because they could have put it there, no headphone jack. And these days, I use headphones. I use headphones for every single device that I use today. Besides this, of course, because there is no way in heck you can use it. I think you have to buy like a separate accessory in order to have the headphone jack in it. That I am not so sure because I have never seen something like that before. And you know, that's one of my only complaints with the Game Boy Advance SP. Because technically, the Game Boy Advance SP is a big improvement to the original Game Boy Advance. It has a light up screen like I showed you before. You can turn it on and off. There's also an upgrade to this thing that has better resolution and a backlit screen. Even better than the Nintendo DS itself that came out around 2005. That I believe is called the Game Boy Advance SP Plus. Yeah, this is the original, one of the first that came out, you know, in platinum color. Of course, I wish I had the red Game Boy Advance SP. Yeah, too bad I never had the chance to get one, but oh well. This is still a pretty neat device if you want to play old Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games as well. So the 3 huge step up of this thing that has a front lit screen, you could play at night without any other separate attachments to it like the other older Game Boys before that, besides the Game Boy Light, but it did came to America. So it's the first Game Boy that has a lit screen, a built-in lit screen that came to America. That's what I should say about that. The second thing, the rechargeable battery that has improved, big step up. Okay, and the third thing that is a huge step up compared to the original Game Boy Advance, well, now you don't have to worry about if your screen gets dusted or something like that if you don't have a case, because just by closing it like the DS and all that stuff of today, it's the first handheld, like I said, that you could actually protect your screen by closing the top of the screen. And yeah, and it's really convenient to put in your pocket. It's one of the best Game Boys, or if not the best Game Boy to put in your pocket, and the most comfortable. It feels like the smallest Game Boy there is once you close it. Of course, it might be a little bigger than the Game Boy Advance once you open it. Of course, some flaws with this thing compared to the original Game Boy Advance. It's a little bit more cramped up compared to the original Game Boy Advance, that it doesn't feel as good in your hand as the older model, because the original Game Boy Advance, it was pretty good. Okay, when you hold the Game Boy Advance SP in your hand, it feels like they're both together, and it does. I know, I'm already used to it, but I heard people saying that after a while it feels very uncomfortable because the hands are always stick together and stuff like that. Well, as you see, this Game Boy Advance, it fits your hands pretty well, and it's pretty comfortable because it has this little edge thing that you could lay your fingers at in the back, and you could just play like so. You know, you don't have to put all your hands together and all that stuff. Of course, if you really want to, you probably could. But yes, there are some advantages and disadvantages of it. If this thing had a lit screen, this would probably still be better than this right now. A lit screen and a rechargeable batteries. Well, if you just have a couple double-A rechargeable batteries, you're set. This rechargeable battery just makes sure that you don't have to take it out. You just have to recharge it directly from there, and it's the first Game Boy to do so. So yeah, that is pretty much the review of the Game Boy Advance SP. This device is really good if you want to play the older Game Boy games and all the Game Boy Advance games. Very easy to carry, put in your pocket, and pretty good sound quality compared to the Game Boy, of course. But everybody knows that already. Yeah, if only this thing was red, it would have been more my taste. But still, I like this color too. So yeah, that's pretty much all for this review. Hope you liked it, and hopefully one day I could get another Game Boy Advance SP that has better screen resolution. Maybe I could view it better whenever I do game reviews on the SP, which I probably never do for now. See you later. Bye bye.
I want to listen to some video game music. Where is the headphone? Huh? Crap! Denoxkun's right. There's no headphone jack. What the F? That's bullcrap!